Good morning. The weekend's here almost, with the man in the shades who is never in the shade, coming up with a team of the week, and various questions in between, and a song as well. We're nearly through the whole league table. We're going to start off with the theme of the week, Graham. Arbeloa's first big test. I don't know if you've seen the papers this morning. I'm sure you have, but they're delirious basically over how he's won over Vinicius, how he's transformed the club, how they're now going to win the Champions League, blah, 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 blah. Big game, though, at the weekend against Villarreal. We were all impressed with how they did on Tuesday. Are there any things we're missing? We've all talked about the press and the intensity, which was off the scale. And I've not seen the press like that since maybe the second half against Atalanta in the season before last. But are there other things? Is it just not? Is it more than the intensity that he was able to bring back on Tuesday?
Well, first of all, morning, Pete. Morning, Pat. He says, morning, lads. Hi, Phil. Hi, Mr. Coops. Very intriguing, Mr. Coops. Look, if I can cheat a little bit by just back referencing what you said there, I like being surprised. I like doing all the prep that you and I do, meeting people, going to games, our interviews, our research, our back catalogue of knowledge. And yet, it made me, I can get things wrong, but it maybe doesn't happen often enough that you're like, wow, where the fuck did that come from? And I hugely enjoyed the Real Madrid performance for some of the things you've talked about, and most particularly the ferocity of the press and the interception, and then what everybody's taken. I had to have it explained to me in a big interview with, I think, Damien Duff about I keep hearing transitions. What are transitions? And he explained it, and by now, because I was last in class, everybody knows. But what they did was so exceptional, because you can be ferocious and you can win and keep it up for 20 minutes. They kept up for 98 minutes. You can win the ball and then retrench, like Guardiola said that Tuchel's club teams, were bitches to play against, because they knew whether, once you recovered the ball, do you press green for go, or is it amber, or is it red, and circulate it back? And Madrid Monaco played like, it was a school children's outing. Their speed of thought and their ability to make, see peripherally what the best pass was just 3 beats slower than you see almost any La Liga doing. The comparison between Monaco at home at the beginning of last season and how they beat Barcelona on top of them all the time, and this was really sad to see. You asked me, is there a hidden codicil, as Dean Wormer used to say to John Belushi and co in Animal House? I think the only way to start is evidently Pintus, because I do not want to go, and I do not believe that, even a Lamborghini that is well shown up and tuned up but doesn't have enough petrol in it can go, at top speed from now till May the 30th, when the Champions League final is. I think that these players have been run down into the ground so much by two disgracefully short. They're not pre-seasons, they're like glimpses. Yet when Pintus comes in, two things happen. He upgrades the crispness and intensity with which they're working in the time available to them. And that time is about to stretch now, because they're out of the cup. If they go top 8, which they can determine themselves, I think they get 6 of 7 weeks where they've got, full weeks where you can train your butt off, give them a day off, and then come out fighting. I think they're going to be intriguing. The second thing is that I hadn't been fully aware of this until I started asking around a little bit at the Bernabeu, that how affable, how a buddy to them all Pintus is. The body language of the players with Pintus pre-match, I had forgotten that it's an arm around the shoulder, or a joke, or a little tease, or a bark, and all the players were coming up in Pavlovian fashion, like, Pintus is back. And So I'll say that the trajectory I think is going like this, and probably will continue. I suspect, morning Andrew. I suspect then that it evens out, and we may find them peaking too soon, as David Coleman sort of said. But that was, for my taste, the extra element. And I'll close by saying this hasn't happened for a long time. But while I was waiting to get one of these short post-match interviews with Vinicius, because he was player of the match, Jude Bellingham was doing TNT by my side, but then he saw me, reached out, little handshake, and then this rare thing, even in these sort of stalls, stopped to chat. Just I was like, the pace and intensity, and he said, "Funny, isn't it? Easy how easy football is when you play like that. When everybody's doing this." And on he went about that, and I said, "Listen, in my opinion, if you play like that, you can correct almost all the problems that we've seen on the pitch this season." And he was he said a phrase that I don't want to repeat, but that he agreed. Um, so Pintus, attitude, alacrity of good decisions when they win the ball, and then confidence, Pete. They're the extra elements. They're all interlocked, aren't they? And you're saying you saw the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, I said to you the other night that I thought the fullbacks were interesting. I thought Valverde and Camavinga, two midfielders at fullback, and both doing midfielder things, and just surprising the opposition, which wasn't really happening under Xabi Alonso. And we've both laughed about the fact that Xabi Alonso has been on the beach these last few days, laughing at the state that Real Madrid are in, and maybe if you watched the game on Tuesday, you would have thought, yeah, no, why weren't those things happening under me? Vinicius ran more than 10 kilometres for the first time in any Champions League game this season. The run in the second half, I don't know if you saw it, because sometimes when you're in the stadium, as you were, you don't see things that we see on there's a run from Mbappe in the second half, which is just extraordinary. I've never seen anything like it. Obviously, a cynic will say, yeah, are they going to do it every week? That's the difficult thing. Monaco, you touched on how bad they were. They're the ninth worst or the ninth best team in France. What will Marcelino have made of it watching? Obviously, because he's the manager that comes up against them on Saturday.
I think one of the things I spoke to both. I'm friends with the press officer at Monaco. We often go out to dinner when I'm down in the Principality, and he's one of these guys who knows our job, does his job well, but also loves football, and that's a rare combination. And he pointed out to me, as did the coach, Pognoli, we made lots of chances. The coach was very critical about the errors that his team had made, but he said in how we played, which is quite bravely, you could see the idea that I gave them. It's just they didn't affect it particularly well. I can see their confidence is down after the 3-1 defeat on Friday. Now, and they did make chances. There was one wonderful save from Courtois. There was a shot that hit the bar. And without naming them, I would say there were three more really clear chances plus the goal. So it was wildly Madrid's night. There is no way of saying that if Monaco had put one or two in, it would have been close, in my opinion. I think Madrid would just score three or four more. But there's your Marcelino clue. I thought that Monaco did the most damage in their transitions. They managed to get in behind those fullbacks. There'll be a slight change in that Carreras will be available again. He was only suspended. But conceptually, Madrid, I don't think have changed under Zidane or Ancelotti or Xabi Alonso or now Arbeloa in terms of the fullbacks are treated like, they need to. They're neither wing backs nor fullbacks. They're almost wingers. There's a new phrase need to be invented for what Real Madrid's fullbacks are, and therefore they are catchable over the top. And one of the things we've seen, two things we've seen, in my opinion, about Marcelino's team is, I'm really a bitchy kind of cynic because I want more all the time, and given how many times they sell and buy and sell and buy, maybe a little bit. Morning, Jack. Coming back to Garwin in a minute. Maybe it's inevitable that there's a lack of cohesion, and in certain positions, a lack of quality. But the thing they have proven to us in every big test this season, they failed. They deal with the middle order, no problem whatsoever. And therefore, truthfully, I don't expect Villarreal to win. But his concept has to be hit Madrid on the transitions and damage them with, let's say, Ayoce and Pepe, or Ayoce. Moreno's pace isn't great, but his wisdom is fantastic. But there and Mikataudzi. So between Mikataudzi and Pepe and Tani and Ayoce, they have players that can get in behind, and that's how you damage Madrid. But in this state of confidence and with the personnel they've got available, I'll be watching with thrills because it should be a terrific game. I honestly, I don't see Villarreal winning.
Certainly not if Madrid play as they did on Tuesday. Madrid now need a point in their last game to definitely make top 8, and it's against Mourinho, isn't it? Who needs to win for Benfica?
Can we just add? Can we just expand? That needs to win. If he doesn't win, he's going out. Special once.
Oh, yeah. Is that old? I've never heard that before. It's great.
He was give 2 for 4 for 4 for 4.